Justin Bieber has once again stepped into the spotlight, but this time not for his music, rather for a series of explosive new allegations against Sean "Diddy" Combs. Known for his candidness and evolving maturity, Bieber is breaking his silence about the dark side of his early career under Diddy's mentorship. The pop star's recent statements reveal unsettling details about manipulation, coercion, and emotional trauma endured during his rise to fame. These allegations add fresh fuel to an already fiery legal battle surrounding Diddy's empire, shining a harsh light on the hidden abuses masked by glitz and glamour. As Bieber bravely voices his truth, the music industry and fans alike are left grappling with the disturbing implications of power, control, and exploitation behind the scenes. Justin Bieber's troubled past, from teen idol to speaking out. For over a decade, Justin Bieber stood as the embodiment of teenage superstardom, a global pop sensation adored by millions, his life constantly under the relentless scrutiny of cameras, fans, and the media. From the moment he exploded onto the scene as a fresh-faced 13-year-old, Bieber's trajectory seemed nothing short of meteoric. But behind the glitz and glamour of sold-out tours, chart-topping hits, and lucrative brand deals, there was a less visible, darker narrative quietly unfolding. In recent months, as the federal investigations and lawsuits surrounding Sean "Diddy" Combs have intensified, Bieber has begun to break his silence, hinting at the troubling experiences that marked his formative years in the music industry. His public statements, carefully crafted and measured, reveal an emerging awareness of how deeply complicated and painful his early career was. Experiences many now speculate were intricately linked to Diddy's influence and presence in his life. The Unsettling 48 Hours video, a chilling glimpse into the past. Among the most unsettling pieces of the puzzle is a video clip that has resurfaced in recent weeks, capturing Diddy boasting about spending 48 hours alone with the then 15-year-old Justin Bieber. The footage, originally dismissed by many as mere celebrity bravado, now carries an ominous undertone that few can ignore. In the video, Diddy speaks directly to the camera, his tone casual but laced with pride as he recounts this exclusive time with Bieber. He calls it the time of his life, a phrase that, on the surface, sounds celebratory but takes on a more sinister meaning in light of recent revelations. Viewers watching Bieber in the same footage have noted his visible discomfort, his forced smiles, the nervous laughter, the way his body language betrays unease despite the outward appearance of compliance. At the time of filming, this might have been brushed off as typical celebrity eccentricity, just another odd moment in the whirlwind world of pop stardom. Yet today, with federal prosecutors unveiling allegations of coercion, sex trafficking, and exploitation centered on Diddy's empire, the subtext of that 48 hours feels heavy with implication. What exactly transpired during those hours behind closed doors? Was it an innocent celebrity bonding session? Or did it mask something far darker? The shadow of grooming, Usher and patterns of control. The disturbing narrative surrounding Bieber gains further complexity when placed alongside the experiences of other young stars who crossed paths with Diddy, most notably Usher Raymond. Usher's early career was also shaped under Diddy's shadow, with the rapper and mogul famously claiming to have been his legal guardian during those formative years. Whether formal or informal, this guardianship reportedly involved Usher living with Diddy in New York City, supposedly for artist development. While the industry spun this as a sign of mentorship, whispers and rumors paint a far less innocent picture. Usher himself, in later interviews, described his time under Diddy's wing as wild, though his comments were often vague, leaving much to interpretation. Stories have circulated of parties where the boundaries of decency were blurred, of curious activities and unsettling scenes witnessed by the young usher. Experiences that, while never fully confirmed, suggest a troubling pattern. When combined with the allegations now facing Diddy, these narratives invite a broader and more chilling examination of how grooming and exploitation may have been systematized within the entertainment industry. The parallels between Usher's and Bieber's stories, two prodigious young men brought into the orbit of a powerful man who controlled not just their careers, but potentially much more, suggest that this was not a series of isolated incidents, but part of a wider structure of control. The dark underbelly of fame, coercion, control, and hidden footage. Central to these revelations is the alleged use of covert surveillance and video recordings as instruments of manipulation and control. Prosecutors claim that Diddy's organization operated sophisticated systems for monitoring and recording those within his inner circle, creating a vast repository of potentially incriminating footage. Such footage, it is alleged, was not simply gathered for posterity, but functioned as a weapon, an ominous form of leverage wielded to enforce silence and obedience. The threat of exposure created a climate of fear, where victims and associates were compelled to participate in or at least tolerate behaviors that were coercive, if not outright abusive. This dynamic profoundly complicates public perceptions. On the surface, those involved may have appeared to be living glamorous, enviable lives. But behind closed doors, the stakes were high, and the consequences of stepping out of line potentially devastating. The very nature of fame and power within these elite circles was entangled with secrecy, intimidation, and control. Legal implications, the fight to suppress evidence, and its impact on the case. In response to these mounting allegations, Diddy's legal team has centered a significant part of their defense around challenging the validity of search warrants used to seize evidence. Their Fourth Amendment challenge aims to exclude critical materials, including videos and electronic records, arguing that the warrants were improperly granted. This legal maneuver is far from a mere technicality. It strikes at the heart of the prosecution's ability to build and sustain their case. If the court accepts the defense's argument, the exclusion of this evidence could severely weaken the government's position, forcing prosecutors to reconsider charges or find alternative paths to secure a conviction. However, legal experts caution against overestimating the likelihood of success. Federal investigations of this magnitude, especially those involving high-profile figures, are typically supported by robust evidence and undergo careful judicial review before search warrants are issued. Courts tend to resist excluding evidence unless violations are clear, egregious, and undeniable. The human cost: Justin Bieber's public struggles and personal transformation. In the eye of a growing legal storm surrounding Sean Diddy Combs, one name increasingly surfaces with renewed significance: Justin Bieber. The once celebrated teen idol, whose meteoric rise captivated the world, now finds himself at the crossroads of personal reckoning and public scrutiny. Recent paparazzi images showing Bieber looking gaunt and visibly exhausted stirred a wave of rumors, whispers of substance abuse, mental health battles, and personal decline. While his representatives quickly dismissed these claims, emphasizing his ongoing transformation, fatherhood, and renewed dedication to his music, the deeper story lies beneath the headlines. Bieber's journey from a vulnerable adolescent thrust into global stardom to a young man determined to reclaim his narrative is emblematic of a larger, more troubling narrative at the heart of the music industry. For years, the pressures and trauma tied to his early career, marked by intense public scrutiny and complicated relationships with powerful figures like Diddy, have left indelible marks on his psyche. Now, Amid fresh allegations against Diddy and unfolding legal battles, Bieber's recent candor and artistic expression suggest a profound desire to break free from the shadow cast by his past. Looking back with new eyes, re-examining old footage and interactions. The public's perception of Bieber is undergoing a transformation itself, fueled by a re-evaluation of past moments once viewed as innocuous. Interviews, appearances, and videos from years ago are being revisited with a sense of foreboding. Instances of Bieber's nervous laughter, his evasive responses when asked about Diddy, and subtle expressions of discomfort now read as signs of an unspoken truth. Those close to Bieber have acknowledged that his relationship with Diddy changed significantly over time. Initially, Diddy was an influential mentor figure who appeared to shepherd Bieber's career and provide support. However, as Bieber matured and sought greater control over his life and career, his association with Diddy reportedly diminished, a clear indication of his growing awareness of the need to distance himself from potentially harmful influences. Usher's early years, the wild side of mentorship. The unsettling nature of Bieber's story gains additional context when considered alongside the early experiences of Usher Raymond IV, the R&B icon whose star ascended rapidly in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Like Bieber, Usher's rise was shaped by proximity to Diddy, whose role as a mentor and industry kingmaker was undisputed. During the 1990s, a teenage Usher spent crucial formative years in New York City, under Diddy's wing, ostensibly for artist development and career guidance. However, behind this mentorship lies a more complicated picture. In a now viral interview on Howard Stern's show, Usher described those years as wild. While he dodged explicit details, his demeanor shifted when asked about adult women approaching him as a teenager, hinting at experiences that blurred the lines between innocence and exploitation. Usher's vague yet telling responses leave room for speculation about what really transpired behind the scenes. Were these mentorships merely professional, or did they conceal darker agendas? The conspiracy of pornography as a control mechanism. Expanding beyond individual stories, these troubling dynamics can be understood within a broader theory involving pornography as a tool of systemic control. Far from being mere entertainment, some scholars argue that pornography operates as a means to entrap individuals through data collection and psychological conditioning. According to this theory, popular pornographic websites function as sophisticated surveillance systems. By encouraging increased consumption, they desensitize users and gradually shift their viewing preferences toward more extreme content, effectively building detailed dossiers on individual behaviors and vulnerabilities. This information can then be weaponized to exert control, blackmail, or manipulate influential individuals once they rise to prominence. Such a mechanism effectively enslaves people to their private vices, a concept famously articulated by St. Augustine. A person is not free if controlled by their weaknesses. Dr. E. Michael Jones explores this extensively in his book Libido Dominandi, Sexual Liberation and Political Control, tracing pornography's historical use to erode morality and enforce conformity through shame and coercion. Parallels between Usher and Justin Bieber. A pattern emerges. The troubling similarities between Usher and Bieber highlight a recurring pattern of exploitation under the guise of mentorship. Both entered the music industry as prodigious teenagers, both benefited from Diddy's influential support, and both were exposed to adult environments and celebrity culture far beyond their years. This is not a series of isolated incidents, but potentially a systemic design, where mentorship serves as a smokescreen for coercion and manipulation. Bieber's documented closeness to Diddy during his formative years, coupled with recent federal investigations revealing allegations of abuse and trafficking within Diddy's circle, suggest that Bieber may have been an unwilling participant in a deeply entrenched system of control. This broader network allegedly uses mentorship not only to develop star power, but also to entrap vulnerable youth in a web of trafficking, coercion, and silencing. Behind the glamour and success lies a dark criminal enterprise guarded by wealth, influence, and fear, effectively protecting those who orchestrate and benefit from it. The dark reputation of Diddy's parties. For decades, Sean "Diddy" Combs' parties have been the stuff of legend, lavish, wild, and seemingly untouchable. These gatherings, often described as spectacular blowouts, attracted celebrities from every corner of the entertainment world and beyond. Footage from 1999 reveals Diddy himself joking openly about the reputation of these events, reveling in the chaos and excess. His boast about the diverse crowd, from hip-hop royalty like Jay-Z to an eclectic mix of people from all walks of life, created an image of cultural fusion, excitement, and unrestrained celebration. But beneath the glittering surface of fame and fortune, these parties harbored a far darker reality. The term freak-off, which has gone viral in recent court proceedings, is now a grim emblem of the sinister nature of Diddy's gatherings. Originally evoking an atmosphere of playful sexual abandon, freak-offs are described in court documents as orchestrated sessions of coercion and trafficking. Far from the carefree reputation promoted by media and fans, these events allegedly served as central nodes in a criminal enterprise, where sexual exploitation was systematically manufactured and concealed behind a veil of glamour. The 2018 Miami shooting and its unsettling context, one seemingly unrelated event from 2018, is now being re-examined in this disturbing context. The shooting incident at the Trump National Doral Hotel in Miami. The assailant, Jonathan Body, carried out an unusual and violent rampage, throwing a massive American flag over the hotel counter, smashing chandeliers, firing shots into the ceiling, and ultimately surrendering to the police. However, after initially cooperating, Body opened fire again, confounding investigators and raising questions about his motives. At first glance, the incident appeared random and inexplicable, but investigative reporters like Ian Carroll have since uncovered troubling links between Body's actions and the pervasive culture of surveillance and paranoia tied to Diddy's empire. In interviews following the shooting, Body expressed a profound sense of desperation and fear, a reflection of the mental strain caused by the culture of excess, manipulation, and constant monitoring that defines these elite circles. The timing of this incident is striking, coinciding with the public unraveling of Diddy's legal and personal struggles. The empire of silence and power. Sean "Diddy" Combs' empire is far more than a music label or a brand. It is, according to prosecutors, a sprawling criminal enterprise that has operated for decades with near impunity. His influence spans entertainment, business, politics, and cultural leadership, making him a figure of immense power and reach. Yet, behind this veneer of success lies a fortress of silence. Diddy's ability to silence critics and victims through intimidation, monetary settlements, and the wielding of influence has long kept the darker facets of his empire hidden from public view. But as federal investigations and court proceedings progress, cracks are appearing in this impenetrable facade. Testimonies from former associates and victims alike paint a harrowing picture of how fear and coercion were as central to Diddy's operations as the music and fame that fueled his public persona. Women like Cassie Ventura recount abuse that was systematically enabled by the very culture surrounding the parties and mentorships. Producers like Lil Rod reveal a network of surveillance, hidden cameras, and digital blackmail that maintained control over those within the inner circle. Unraveling a dark system. What for years was dismissed as typical excess within the entertainment industry is now increasingly recognized as a deliberate and chilling system of control, grooming, and exploitation. From Usher Raymond IV's vague but telling reflections on his early years under Diddy's mentorship, to Justin Bieber's recent struggles and distancing from the mogul, a disturbing pattern emerges. Young talents, groomed and manipulated, are pawns in a much larger and darker game, one where power is maintained through silence, manipulation, and fear. The ongoing lawsuits and federal investigations peel back the layers of this network, forcing the public to confront a grim reality. The biggest names in music and entertainment may not only be about artistry and success, they may also be entrenched in a culture rife with systemic abuse, trafficking, and coercion. This story is far from over. As more voices find the courage to speak out, and as evidence continues to surface, the truth once buried behind the glitter and glamour begins to take shape.